Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from the relationship advice subreddit from Suspicious Rock 1661 and says, my husband 32 male left me 32 female after almost 15 years together and wants me to forget and let him come home. What are my next steps to stop that? My husband and I have been married for almost 2 years, but together for almost 15. He's my only long real boyfriend I've had in my adult life, and we have 2 children together. We have had a rocky relationship from the beginning if I'm being honest, but the last 3 years have for the most part been pretty great. The turning point for our relationship, I feel, was after he got blackout drunk at his friend's wedding and spent the entire 1.5 hours drive home that I drove him and his friends home from as I was sober, screaming at me and saying nasty things. Since then, things had been pretty good. I've been working on myself, I've lost weight, putting more effort into myself and my appearance, and I've been making new friends. About 5 months ago, he woke up one day and told me he wasn't happy with his life or me and wanted to leave. He then decided he was wrong and didn't want to leave. Not to drag on it too much, but a highlight reel of the last 5 months is he has left me 4 to 5 times and comes back every time saying he's sorry. Been unhappy when I've gone for dinner or to see girlfriends. Got blackout drunk again and behaved horrendously towards me. I can't really talk about it on the thread. The same night as above, there was some severe drama with his family. I'm also being made to be the villain for telling them this behavior is disgusting, especially since our 2 children were asleep in bed when everything was happening. Called me every name under the sun, often in front of our children. Accused me multiple times of having affairs with absolutely no suspicions. I didn't realize a few of the things can't be discussed here. His excuses are that he doesn't feel loved enough by me and I'm not affectionate enough. But it's hard to feel affectionate to someone who's treating you like shit. I'm getting very little family support and being made to feel guilty for breaking our family up if I don't let him just come back home. But he is never going to change. I guess I'm just looking for some validation and support that I'm making the right decision because I keep being told I'm wrong. What are my next steps to stay strong in my decision to not take him back and try to establish a healthy co-parenting relationship for our children? Commenter on this one says, say no. Keep saying no. Find an attorney. Keep all conversations between the lawyers. File for immediate custody pending divorce. Separate finances. Do what the lawyer says. Action first and best steps to staying strong. Commenter replies saying, separate finances first thing and make it happen tomorrow. Opie says, I actually don't even know how to begin separating our finances, as everything we have is basically tied up in our business. Commenter says, imagine if your daughter was going through exactly that. What would you advise her? Please divorce him. Opie says, I think about this all the time. Someone asks OP if they tried marriage counseling. Opie says tried that twice already at various times and only agreed to it this time when he knew I was more serious, but never even made it to the appointment date. Another commenter says, you've been together since you were teenagers. Time to live your life and figure out who you are without him. Opie says, in reflection, I think a big part of the escalation has been because I've been starting to find my own self in the last 1 to 2 years. And the commenters are absolutely right in this and it's heartbreaking, but you're 100% making the right choice. Your husband's showing you this clear pattern of leaving, apologize, then repeating. It's not love, it's just manipulation in the end. And what is up with the family in this? Pressuring you to keep the family together with all this going on. But it was a bit over 2 weeks later that OP comes in with an update and says, I just wanted to firstly say thank you to everyone for all your responses. I can't tell you how much they've helped me through this time, and every time I was struggling, I went back and looked at them all. I just wanted to address a few things mentioned in the comments and then give an update, so skip to the end if you just want the update. I spent the last few weeks really thinking about our relationship and the dynamics, and honestly it's difficult to really think about and embarrassing to think I've allowed this for so long. Some background to our relationship and dynamics of my life. We started seeing each other at 15, and on reflection, I can see that he was pressuring me even back then to do what he wanted. Example, pressuring me into losing my virginity when I didn't want to. But thankfully, a friend intervened for me. I grew up in a house filled with domestic violence and an extended family that was very dysfunctional from trauma. Around the time we first met, my stepdad, who raised me and separated from my mum about 3 years prior, told me his new partner didn't like me calling him dad, and she was turning my bedroom into a spare room for when her family came to visit, and essentially ended with him abandoning his dad role in my life. The night we started dating at 17 was, in hindsight, deeply troubling. We'd been at a local function, and he had been with friends. I was speaking with a mutual friend leading up to this night, and we snuck away to spend time together. When we came back to the function, our mutual friends were laughing about it, and he started screaming at me in front of everyone for hooking up with his friend when I knew he liked me and that I'm a bitch. I followed him out to apologize. No idea what I was apologizing for now, and ended up in a relationship with him. He habitually lied to me about using illicit substances throughout the years. He knew it was a hard limit for me as my relative had passed away from an OD. I know to some people it's a bit ridiculous as it's pretty normal where we are from, but I didn't want to be involved with it in the slightest. He caused friendship breakdowns because friends would come to me and tell me he was using substances. He would deny it and tell me they were lying, and I would end up in arguments with them. He admitted 2 years ago to lying about it because he could see my viewpoint had changed and was more accepting of it. Our relationship was great for the last 2 to 3 years, 1 to 2 years before our wedding and 1 year after. But on reflection, I realized it was because I was just being more obedient to him. I was basically a married single mum and handled everything at home, worked in our business and was the primary parent for our children. Okay, now for the update. I saw everyone's comments about leaving him and running and divorce. That is definitely my plan. I'm trying to be smart about everything and not rush it and do it on impulse. After my last post, I did cave to his pressure and allow him another chance. I told him that I was going to visit my friend's new apartment in the city and go for dinner together. He lost it and tried to forbid me from going. I told him I wasn't asking for permission, I was just letting him know. He was yelling and carrying on in front of our children that I'd either be husband and wife again, or he's leaving right now. And I was just overwhelmed and trying to get him to stop, so I agreed. He also admitted to going through my phone to look at my messages with my friend because he didn't trust what I was saying. But shock and horror, a week later, he left again. So currently, we're not together. He keeps apologizing and telling me he loves me and regrets the things he was saying to me. He keeps asking me, "So are you done or do you want to be with me?" I reminded him that you left and we're not currently together. I said without real changed behavior, I'm not willing to be together. And I know that he will not be able to do that because I now realize that I think he is a narcissist, or at least pretty close. In the meantime, I've been recording many of our conversations and interactions. I'm meeting with a lawyer and speaking with an individual counselor, and trying to get my house in a state for sale without it being obvious. I also forwarded many of our business financial documents to a separate email in case he restricts access to them. His work email is also on my computer as I handled most of his correspondence. And a few days ago, he had an email from Snapchat about some password change or something. Not really a huge deal, I guess, but I'm pretty confident there is either another specific girl in the picture or he's having casual sex. If there's anything else I should be doing, anything you want clarified or any thoughts you have, I'd love to hear it, and thank you all again. And we do have another update in a moment, but a commenter quotes OP saying, "So currently, we are not together," and then says, "Lady, I'm on my hands and knees begging you to stop with this language. It needs to be, we are not together, period." OP says, "You're right, we are not together, period. I promise it's not changing." Commenter says, "OP, you should take your electronics and car to Geek Squad and a mechanic and check for a GPS, tracking and spyware. I would also open a new bank account that are different from any bank account you use as a couple, even if you don't have joint accounts. I would want a separate account at a bank he doesn't know about. I would also run my credit report and keep a close watch on it, and any accounts we share." OP says the family violence helpline in my area offers help with this, so I was going to be looking into it this week. Thank you. Commenter says, "Change your passwords and codes. There's a good chance he'll go through your messages again. It's an easy way to keep track of what you're up to. You most likely will at some point promise real change with therapy and all that. Have a response ready. This often is said without any intention to actually change. It's just a way to get back. Get a separate bank account if you don't have one. You'll need it. If you have one and he has access to it, cancel that. You do seem to have a grip on the situation though. Good luck with your new life. Opie says thank you. I'm going to go through all my passwords on my phone and change them. Someone asks who owns the house and can Opie change the locks. Opie says it's in both of our names. Commenter says to OP, you need to stop going back together with this man. What kind of example are you setting for your children? That it's normal to berate and insult and attack your partner for hours on end. Do you want your children to grow up thinking it's normal to have your partner isolate you to the house and not let you have friends? Seeing these things is going to screw them up for life. When I read your update, it originally sounded like you understood the situation and you were getting out, only to find out a few sentences later, you put yourself right back into the same position, took him back, let him treat you like crap, let him manipulate and control you, and then surprise, surprise, dump you again. I know it's hard to leave abusive relationships, but you're not single, and this doesn't affect only you. You have to put your children first. Opie responds to that and says, understand that it reads like that, and I guess it is what happened. But mostly I just wanted to get my appointment with a lawyer before officially kicking him out, so that I knew all my rights, etc., and did everything properly. Because all of our finances are tied up in our business, and I don't want him to be able to just take everything and hide it. Opie then clarifies on why she hasn't kicked her husband out of the house, and then says, he's never technically left the home. He has left me and stayed in our spare bedroom or left for a night. How exactly do I keep someone out of a home they own jointly with me without divorcing them first? The police in my area will do absolutely nothing unless there is genuine proof of physical violence, which I don't have. And even then, it's still difficult to have them removed from the property or pursue anything. And Opie added one more comment on that post that says, I just want to say thank you for those who have left genuine feedback and support. But honestly, pretty taken aback by how aggressive some of the comments have been with me. I was actually really proud that I've started taking steps to get out, and I fully intend to leave him. It is a huge milestone in my life to accept that I've allowed myself to be in an abusive relationship, and start the process of leaving the only man I've been with in 15 years. And I honestly never really did realize it wasn't normal, which you may not understand, but it's just my reality. And for the people who keep mentioning why I'm putting my kids through this, I think you're misdirecting your anger a bit here. I'm trying my very best to shield them. I've almost got everything ready to get us out. I'm so close, but the person doing this to our children is him. Am I allowing shitty behavior? Absolutely, but I'm not doing it, and I'm actively getting us out. So anyway, I'm trying my best. I am leaving, and I hope maybe next time you see a post like this, you might be a little kinder than just a lot of insults. Then at some point later again, Opie comes in with another update and says, hi all, I just wanted to post an update for everyone who gave me advice in my previous posts and helped me through a really difficult time. My soon-to-be ex-husband has been gone from our home for 2 weeks now. It has been 2 weeks filled with crash outs, love bombing and everything in between, but I have held firm and told him I'm completely out of the relationship and want a divorce. I've bought new security cameras for the time being, but want to sell our house and buy my own place as soon as possible. But separating our finances is going to be difficult. I know I'm only at the very beginning of the journey, but I'm feeling so proud of myself and strong in my resolution. And honestly, I haven't even missed him once yet. I feel free. The kids and I can be at home and do what we feel like without worrying if he will have a problem with it. There's no more yelling at home. It's just peaceful. So thank you again for your advice. I probably won't have another update, but thank you all, and if you have any tips or tricks for negotiating custody agreements and divorce, that would be great. I can't tell you how much you all helped me push through the hardest part. And then there were some comments replying to Opie after this saying, you've done something incredible. The fact that you stood your ground despite the emotional pressure. That's a huge win. Peace at home and your freedom? Absolutely priceless. Whenever it gets tough, remind yourself where you started this in the first place. One tip, write everything down when it comes to the kids and any agreements. Even if things seem fine now, you're in a new chapter and it's already starting with a victory. OP says, I have a video I watch of one of his outbursts whenever my brain tries to trick me into remembering the good parts to remind myself. And honestly, I only needed to watch it the first few days. Just fear of the unknown, I guess. And I just keep reminding myself that being scared of the future is far greater than living a future like that. Commenter says, freeze your credit with all 3 major credit companies. He may turn vindictive very quickly. Opie says, I think once he realizes he's lost control, he will turn vindictive pretty quick. That's why I want to move through the process as quick as possible. Didn't think of the credit. Thank you. Someone says Opie needs to get a paper trail going with her husband and says, Opie responds saying, most of our communication over the last 6 months has been through text, so I have so much documentation. Commenter says, please do not cave into his excuses or love bombing. He will never change, no matter what he says or promises. I've read your other posts. He sounds like a piece of shit. You and your kids will be so much better off without him and his constant screaming, anger, and abuse. Focus on yourself and your kids now. You should be very proud of yourself for moving on. I know it's scary and hard, but it will be so worth it. Best of luck and a happy future for you and your children. Opie says, I absolutely will not. It's crazy how much you really see when you take off the rose-colored glasses. Thank you. It's a bit scary and definitely hard, but God, has it been worth it. Commenter says, good for you. I'm so proud of you. You're sticking up for yourself and teaching your children that abusive relationships are not okay. You're setting healthy boundaries and teaching your kids to do the same. Rock on. Opie says, it's so rewarding thinking about my daughter not learning to accept this bullshit, and my son learning that it's not okay. Opie on her family putting pressure on her to reconcile with her husband and says, they're definitely getting better. I know my mum in particular wishes he would stop all of his behaviour and allow us to reconcile. But she has definitely accepted that his behaviour won't allow that and has stopped pressuring me. I've also opened up to more extended family who've been more supportive, which is good. Thank you so much. And one more from OP on the recording's consent against her husband and taking important documentation. It says recording is legal in my country. Only one party needs to consent. And I've taken mine and the kids' passports and birth certificates and my engagement and wedding rings to my mum's house. Thank you so much. And absolutely good on OP in this situation for getting out of it. The real victory, of course, is her kids getting to see what standing up for yourself looks like. You know, she's literally breaking that cycle of abuse. And I think the 2 weeks of peace and she hasn't even missed him once tells you everything that you need to know. When you're genuinely happy for the first time in years, there's no going back, and I really hope that she doesn't. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Psychology Front 6494 and says, am I the arsehole for not allowing my daughter to visit her dad without her dog? Never thought I would actually post, but my bestie told me to put it out here for an impartial judgment. My ex divorced 9 years and I have a 14-year-old daughter who sees them 2 to 3 weekends a month, depending on their work schedule. We have no official custody or visitation agreement in place. 3 months ago, my ex moved their girlfriend in after dating for 6 weeks. He says he's too old to do the silly dating thing and has decided to move on full throttle with her. Okay, fine, his life. I've met her 3 times during drop-offs and she seemed fine. I remarried 3 years ago. We've all co-parented very well. Okay, now onto the issue. My daughter has a chronic disease and an extensively trained service dog because of this. She's a German Shepherd, if that makes any difference. We got her approximately 8 months ago. She was nearly 20k, so it took a lot of financial finagling and research from my ex and my spouse and I to both find and purchase her. She has been a godsend. Before Sherry came along, my daughter had wicked anxiety about going anywhere, especially school or out in public. She is, of course, medicated but has breakthrough episodes which her MD attributes to puberty. She is closely monitored, but she still has them. Before Sherry, she would refuse to go anywhere for days at a time, and we ended up having a tutor come in so that she could keep up with her schoolwork. I refused to completely homeschool her because I feel that if I did, she would withdraw from society completely. Enter Sherry, who has made a huge difference in her life. She goes everywhere with her, is a star at my daughter's high school, and my daughter has actually become almost extroverted. She has even joined theatre club and is currently attending a summer workshop on it. She says just knowing that Sherry is with her lessens her anxiety, as she knows when something is going to happen, and that coming to, with Sherry curled up next to her, comforts her and makes her know that she's safe during them. Now the issue. Guess what girlfriend's name is? You guessed it. First, she demanded we change the dog's name. I laughed and said that was not an option. Again, highly trained dog. You don't just go around changing an animal's name anyway. And she's almost 3 years old. I told girlfriend if she didn't like sharing her name with a dog, she could change hers. That didn't go over well. Yesterday, my daughter came home crying, saying girlfriend is insisting that when daughter visits, Sherry would remain at home. I said absolutely not. I told my ex and his reply was, daughter didn't have dog for years and she was okay. She'd be okay now. I know what to do. I said that his knowing what to do wasn't the issue. I said that our daughter was not okay before. She was anxious, borderline agoraphobic, and miserable. He called me a drama queen and said if she brings Sherry with her, she can't come. I said fine, she won't be visiting. He said I was guilty of parental alienation and would take me to court if necessary. I said bring it on. My daughter is torn. She doesn't want to be without Sherry, but she also wants to visit her dad. So am I the arsehole? I just can't get my mind off the end of that bit, that the whole threatening with court. Like OP said, bring it on. I would love to see a judge's face when he walks up to the judge and says, Your Honor, I'm suing my ex-wife because she won't let our daughter visit me without her medically necessary 20k service dog that helps manage her chronic condition because my girlfriend of 6 weeks is mad that they have the same name. And can you just picture the judge's face in that situation? Judge would be just like, oh, piss off, mate. Secret Afternoon says, not the arsehole. Would your ex insist that your daughter leave a prosthetic limb at home if his girlfriend didn't like it? I can't imagine any decent family court judge not telling this guy to get his fucking priorities straight. And yes, I've heard a family court judge tell someone this, ironically, because he prioritized his dogs over his kid. Opie says the kicker is that my ex is actually allergic to dogs. He's been getting shots and taking antihistamine so that he can deal with Sherry. And when a neurologist suggested looking into a service dog, he didn't blink. But girlfriend has to be coddled because of her name. Make it make sense. Jen says not the arsehole and let the judge rake him over the coals in court. Sherry isn't a dog, she's a medical device. Would dad be allowed to leave an insulin pump or asthma inhaler at home because he knows what to do? No, he would not. Mscape says exactly. Frame it like that and see what he says. Human Sherry can get a nickname or something. Squirt says, I think that she should just go by Human Sherry, and if she doesn't like that, then I'm sure OP and her daughter can come up with some ideas. OP says, well, since this became an issue, I really focused on how often the actual name Sherry was said in a day. I mean, my daughter will say, come on girl, or my precious baby, and things like that instead of her name. So I really think girlfriend is just making a thing out of nothing to stir the pot. Maida says, not the arsehole. If I were you, I'd tell him he either does the visits at his house or not at all. He's treating his own daughter like she's an inconvenience. He's choosing to get his dick wet over being a good dad. Opie says, I don't want my daughter or Sherry at his house with his girlfriend there. I don't trust her not to do something because she's furious about this post. My ex-sister-in-law kindly shared it with her. The darling. My daughters say she was already snarky to them before all this happened. So OP does come in with our update and says, so I sent the link to this post to my ex and he responded by calling my daughter and apologizing. He's still being an arsehole as he is saying that they will do visits at his mum's house, a couple of streets away from him, as it still makes girlfriend upset hearing her name referring to a dog. Whatever. So for now, this is what they've worked out. He's happy, daughter is happy. She told me she really doesn't like girlfriend but has been polite, and Sherry stays where she belongs, with daughter. One thing I would like to point out, girlfriend's name is spelt Cherie, C-H-E-R-I-E, with a little accent over the last E, and pronounced Cherie, whereas our girl is plain old Sherry, like berry. So I think this was just girlfriend stirring the pot. Thank you all for helping me show X where his priorities should be. 1. I originally put her diagnosis and the purpose of Sherry in the post, but it was flagged and removed for seeking medical advice. She has a disorder that starts with an E and ends with a Y. 2. Sherry is a seizure response dog. The fact that she lessens my daughter's anxiety and about not knowing when a seizure is coming on and having one in public is a huge bonus, but not the main purpose of Sherry's training. 3. For the idiot who told me Sherry couldn't be an actual service animal because real ones don't cost money. No. She went through a year and a half of training and we could only afford her because my parents put a second mortgage on the house and my ex, current spouse and I all worked a second job until we had enough. We're not wealthy. I'm a CNA. My husband is a mechanic and my ex manages a restaurant. We looked into organizations that subsidize the cost of a service animal, but the waiting lists were 3 years or more and we needed a dog now. We had to drive halfway across the country to pick her up. All those saying that she is a medical device are 100% spot on. 4. For now, my daughter is going to spend my ex's weekends with his mother, who loves Sherry as much as we do, and he's going to hang out with her there. He knows he's effed up. His mother and both of his sisters have all torn him new ones, but it takes him time to admit when he's wrong because he's a stubborn son of a bitch. This post has opened his eyes, but it's also ticked him off to no end being called out. Older daughter says that sister-in-law went over and told girlfriend off, but didn't provide details, and I'm trying really hard to be an adult and not pump her for info. Lol. 5. For those saying he's going to be baby trapped, he had a vasectomy. Thank goodness. Wakeful Dreamer says to the OP, so daughter and dad only see each other at grandma's house now, and this is expected to go on for how long? Daughter will always have the medical condition. Is this an acknowledgement that the girlfriend is a short-term thing, or a naive belief that one's daughter and one's girlfriend can be mutually exclusive and separate part of one's life? Opie says, I think he sees this as a compromise to get his girlfriend off his back. My daughter loves staying with her grandma and at this point wants nothing to do with girlfriend, so she's very happy with the arrangement. And if I know my ex-mother-in-law, she's going to make him squirm every time he's over there. Evil laugh. Appropriate Mind says, I'm baffled by the childish behavior of the girlfriend. It's not like you purposely named the dog with the same name. If I'm not mistaken, the dog came to you with that name, not that it matters. I hate to say my opinion or to sound harsh, but your ex needs to prioritize his daughter. And although I am there in the same house, I can just imagine the manipulation of the girlfriend that goes on in that house. The moment a new partner starts to try and establish dominance or some sense of hierarchy, I think a relationship is going to suffer. Opie says, she did come with that name and we were advised not to change it by the trainer. X knows this. X also knows that the trainer stated that Sherry should not go extended periods or even frequent short periods away from daughter, as it will only cause her anxiety, since my daughter is her reason to be, in their words, as well as possibly affect her training. He's just currently an idiot in the midst of a mid-late life crisis. Liza says, also, what the arsehole doesn't understand is that stress is a major trigger for her illness. Not having her there could set off episodes, and what's he going to do if he steps out for something? Does his girlfriend know what to do if she has an episode? Can you be sure she would even help the daughter if she had one? See, as there is animosity between them over her support animal's name. Opie says, when she first moved in, my ex tried to show her how to use my daughter's rescue meds, which was in a nasal spraying form, and she was like, oh, I don't need to learn. You or older sister will be here to do it. This I didn't find out until my daughter told me. She didn't want the dog there. Girlfriend is racking up strikes. Discordian Floof says, not the arsehole. As someone who lost my little brother to a grand mal seizure, anything that can help reduce seizures takes precedence over someone's fragile ego. My brother was epileptic since he was a kid. As a teenager, he was so used to them that he decided they weren't a big deal, and definitely not worth doing all the boring things that help reduce them. To be fair, we did not really know that they could be fatal either. The doctors never mentioned it, and always focused on ensuring he didn't hurt himself during the seizures. But he died in bed, from a big seizure that might have been preventable, before he was even 20 years old. So yeah, new girlfriend and dad are terribly selfish people. Opie says, I'm so sorry for your loss. Teens think they're indestructible, sadly. This happening to daughter is one of our greatest fears, and daughter even slept with her sisters for years. Her wish, not our pushing it, because she was afraid to. This is another way Sherry has been given her back her freedom and peace of mind. My daughter sleeps well knowing Sherry will bark and alert us during the night for an emergency. Someone asks, how much younger is human Sherry than her ex, for those wondering? Opie says about 15 years, I'd say. Mixed feelings at the end of that one. I'm glad for the daughter that she's getting to see her dad, something that she wants to do, but still pissed off at the dad that he's still being a bit of a coward and not just telling the girlfriend that grow up and deal with it. I mean, her attitude towards the rescue med, that, oh, I don't need to learn, you or your older sister will be here to do it, just really says what her attitude's like in the end, doesn't it really? Imagine someone talking that way about your daughter and then still wanting to be with them. Absolutely madness. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.